Hey, what's up you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my review, or sort of like general review, thoughts type of video on Season 1 of the Vampire Diaries. And obviously if you guys have seen a couple of my videos in the past, you'll see I did pick up the first 2 seasons of the show on DVD. And I just finished Season 1. I've been kind of going at a slower pace, so I can actually have money to get more seasons by the time I'm done with it. Because I want to blaze through it and not be able to watch more of it soon after. But, I just thought I'd do sort of like a general season review, and I plan on doing one of Season 2 once I'm done with that eventually. So I just thought it'd be a good idea, sort of like my Being Human and Vikings videos. So the Vampire Diaries is a great show, man. And despite all the damn naysayers out there, really, because I think the show gets falsely accused, or let's just say it gets this Twilight stereotype slapped on it in a pretty unfair manner, if I may say, because what people do is they compare to Twilight, because it's Twilight has pretty much, let's just be honest, Twilight has ruined the image of vampires, for today's generation. Because when you hear vampires now, you think of Twilight, unfortunately, or at least the general public does. So of course people are going to be drawing comparisons of the Vampire Diaries to Twilight, because it has to do with a major love story and stuff like that as well. Of course, you guys know if you watch the show, of course, Damon, Stefan, and Elena. Of course, you got your triangle right there, which I guess they both Twilight and the Vampire Diaries have love triangles. But damn, man, the Vampire Diaries is so much better in every conceivable way possible, I think. I mean, I'll admit I haven't seen much of Twilight, but what I have seen, it's very obvious what that is. And right early in Season 1, you can tell the show just has better writing, it has much better character development, much higher quality actors who can actually act and aren't completely emotionless or bland. Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson. But, Paul Wesley, he's great as Stefan. Of course, Ian Somerhalder, he's fantastic as Damon. And Nina Dobrev, she is great as Elena, as our lead female. And just the main cast, the supporting characters, Bonnie, Caroline, even characters like Matt and Jeremy and stuff like that. They're all played very well, even Alaric Saltzman and Jenna, just all the characters and things like that. Anna this season, so right away I feel like it beats that Twilight stereotype that's slapped onto it by sort of the non-fans or the casual fans who draw comparisons. My brother's girlfriend, she watched the first 2 seasons and she said, it's kind of seeming a little bit too much like Twilight. But I've yet to watch Season 2, so maybe I should reserve some judgment. Maybe the show will completely turn around and I won't like it after Season 2, which I highly doubt. But as far as I can see right now, it just has, like I said, all the superior qualities about it. And just the plain fact that it's a much more complicated story, it's a much more well-detailed, well-written, thought-out plot, and it's really something special, I think. And it's not really for teen girls either, it doesn't go by that. If you look up reviews of it, on Amazon, for example, look up the DVD for Season 1, you'll see the reviews of it, which are all 5 stars pretty much. And you'll see this, you'll see people talking about, I'm 35 or older, and this show had me addicted. I love the cleverness in the writing and stuff like that. You'll see people saying things like that, so that immediately kicks it out. That's for females or teen females especially, which it can be. I can see the appeal to that audience as well. but I also believe it fits like a more general allure than that. It can appeal to a much wider audience than people give it credit for, and I think it has, really, because it has intense action. The fight scenes are pretty cool, even in season 1. It even has some like little horror elements to it as well, especially with Damon earlier in the season. And they do that pretty well, actually, as well. And there's even some gore, like a heart being ripped out of a chest at one point in an episode. Just things that Twilight would never do. And, this video isn't going to be all comparing it to Twilight either, but yeah, like, even Damon himself, he's just a very, very well-written character. He comes off like a straight-up villain, and then the pace, excuse the voice crack, but the pace in the show is crazy as well. Definitely one of the faster paces for a show I've seen. And, it sort of goes like, oh that's really interesting, but I feel like they're probably going to wait to show more on that, or going to like stretch it out for a few more episodes before we see what really happens with that. But no, they'll like give you your answer to that, or they'll like really make a huge development in that same episode or within the next episode or two, and it just really goes at a very nice pace. It flows really well and different things like that. And speaking of Damon himself, like Damon Salvatore, he is such a great, well-written character. Even in season 1, he had such a huge amount of development. Like I said, coming off as a straight-up villain in the earlier part of the season. And then, like, right at the end of episode 3, just, like, admire my poor snapping abilities, but you get my point, like, right, not season 3, but, like, episode 3, Friday Night Bites, which was actually one of my favorite episodes of the season. And that was, like, the episode that really set the tone for me. Like, that really showed me how good the show can be. And of course, that scene with at the end of that episode with Stefan writing, I thought there was hope. I thought there was something human left in Damon, but there's nothing human left in him. There's nothing but a monster that needs to be stopped. And then you see, like, at the same time, you see, like, meanwhile, you see Damon in Elena's room, and he's showing like this gentler, more gentle, softer side to him. He's like stroking Elena's cheek, and then you can see there's like much more complexity to him. There's like layers, and they really show that well for the rest of the season as well. And Stefan also went through a great story arc this season. Of course, him and Elena, they had their huge story, and some of the best episodes really came from when that was being like all thrown out there, like about, of course, Stefan being like a 162-year-old vampire. When she found all that out, like I think it started like at the end of episode 5, and yeah, I think it like went like 5, 6, and 7 was when it was really like focused on that part of it. Those 3 episodes are really great as well, because things are so chaotic with the way it was breaking down, and because so early in the season, like out of 22 episodes, it does it like at 5, 6, and 7. That's something you'd expect that they'd delay for a while, delaying finding out the truth, but it happened very early on, and it was really some great stuff, some great writing, and really done so well. And the whole Vicky thing, Vicky Donovan, Matt's girlfriend, of course she was like a drug addict too, like Elena's brother Jeremy, and of course if I'm looking at like the episodes, so I like don't forget anything I like want to specifically mention. But yeah, Vicky, her fate was very unfortunate. Vicky was okay as a character by herself, but what really made her fate all the more tragic to me was Jeremy's reaction to it. You feel so bad for Jeremy in this season. like from Vicky, and then what happens to Anna by the end of the season. It's just, you really feel for the guy, and the actor who plays him, I forget his name right now, but let's see. I have his name right here, actually. Yeah, Stephen McQueen. Yeah, he plays him so well. He makes the character feel so relatable, and this does a really good job of portraying the pain he goes through, and like the loneliness and all that, since him and Elena's parents died in that car crash. And that was another great reveal as well, when he found out that Stefan was actually the one who pulled Elena from the car when the car went off the bridge. And, he tried to save her father first, but, he wanted Stefan to go for Elena, and he pulled out Elena, but he was too late to save her mother and her father. And, of course, you find out later on that Elena was adopted. Someone named, Isabel dropped her off, and Isabel, having connections to the new history teacher, Alaric Saltzman, who is actually, I really liked his character this season as well. Rick Saltzman, Alaric, I like Alaric, but good name. But, that whole thing was really good too, the connection they made between that, and, you got to feel for Alaric through all that, and what Damon did, Damon turned her, Isabel, and things like that. And so, of course, there's always that, obvious tension between Alaric and Damon in many, many cases. Of course, with Alaric actually being killed by Damon, but discovering Alaric has that special ring from Isabel that can actually bring him back to life or, revive him when he's, killed by the undead. Or, if he's killed at all, I think. I'm not sure if it just applies to the supernatural or what, but... yeah, anyway. Yeah, it was a really, really good season. Then you eventually find out that, of course, Elena's real father is, John Gilbert. And another great thing about the season is, all the flashbacks they had, between the original love triangle between Stefan, Damon, and Isabel. Not Isabel, Catherine, of course. I'm sorry for the focus on the webcam there. But that original triangle of Stefan, Damon, and Catherine, they... show that in immense detail. I love the sets and those flashbacks, and you really see how different Catherine is compared to Elena. But this exact resemblance to that Elena has to Catherine, because Nina Dobrev plays both roles. But this resemblance, draws both Stefan and Damon in, and just makes it all the more tragic that they're kind of fated to sort of be against each other in a certain way. And it's really tragic. My favorite part of the show is still seeing the relationship between Stefan and Damon as brothers, and seeing how it's really sad to see how they actually used to get along really well and things like that. Now where they're at now, it's just kind of tragic in a way, like I said. And one thing I didn't like that Damon did this season, though, was in the episode 8, 162 Candles. Of course, Stefan's 162nd birthday. Lexi stops by, and, we find out Lexi's, over 300 years old. A vampire, of course. And she stops by to celebrate Stefan's birthday, and we really get to see this, other side brought out from Stefan. He's actually happy. He can almost be more of himself around her instead of being his usual stoic self like he is with Elena. And Lexi was just a really, really likable character. And I don't have the actress's name right now, but I don't have her name right now. But the actress who played Lexi did a really good job, showing that as well. She had this bright, perky, inspiring optimism to her, but at the same time she came across as really knowledgeable and smart and dangerous too, really. With her being able to supposedly easily overpower Damon, so that was something. And of course, you guys know how that ended with, as part of Damon's plan, he helped Caroline's mother, the sheriff, stake her in the end, because it's all part of his plan. But Yeah, I cringed when I seen Lexi get staked, and I felt so bad for Stefan. And Stefan's reaction at the end of the episode is perfect. Just telling Lena, "Oh, Damon has to die," and Elena trying to tell him, "You don't have to do this. You don't have to give in and turn into that monster." But at that point, I was kind of wishing Stefan would have killed Damon, because he obviously deserved it. And okay, anyway, yeah, phone rang. I don't know if you heard that or not. But yeah, Lexi, is just really sad to see her go. And, that definitely put a strain on Stefan and Damon's relationship, like adding to the pile, of course. And, again, back to those flashbacks, we find out, why Damon holds this resentment towards Stefan. We found out that, of course, Catherine compelled Stefan to do her bidding and sort of feed off of him and stuff like that and turn him into a vampire and such. But we see that she never actually compelled Damon. Damon did it all on his own, all of his free will. All with his free will, I mean, and, he was truly in love with her. And so you really get to feel for Damon, because those feelings are real, and, she was, messing around with Stefan, and it just made it all the more tragic when the townspeople broke down, and, the whole town came after all the vampires and stuff, and they trapped them all in the church and burned it down. And, we see that, of course, in this show, you have to drink a vampire's blood, then you have to die with it in your system, and then you turn into a vampire. I hope I explained that right. I believe I did. If I didn't, please correct me. And, you see that Stefan actually got hooked on it first when he actually went back and killed he and Damon's father, who was actually played by the actor who plays Harry on Dexter's adoptive father, which is kind of cool to see him in a role again. I forget the actor's name, of course, but you guys know who I'm talking about. But yeah, Stefan killed their father and drank from him, and that turned him into a vampire. And he sort of semi-forced Damon to do the same thing from a girl he had compelled. And so it was interesting to see that Stefan was the one who did this to Damon in the first place, in a way. And of course, the whole thing with Damon trying to get Catherine free from beneath the church, where it originally burned down. But once they opened that up, I think it was in, let's see. Yeah, it was episode 14, Fool Me Once. That's when they finally opened the tomb that was beneath the church. And, they find Anna's mother, Pearl. Of course, Anna, she was alive back when Damon and Stefan were first turned and stuff like that. And Pearl is Anna's mother. And, of course, she is freed, and, a few of the other ones escape as well. But, Catherine is down there, apparently. And we find out later from Anna that Catherine had actually escaped from the church before it was burned down, because she compelled one of the guards, and she got out that way when it originally happened. And, Anna had said that she seen Catherine back in the 80s or something like that, or, like a couple decades before the present, and she said she knew where Damon was, but she didn't care to come find him. It just kind of tears Damon apart too, which is understandable. And, yeah, so all that was really intense as we found out more about, their history and stuff like that. And, except when Stefan drank and killed their father, he did try to reasonably speak to his father before he did that, but, his father came after him with a stake, and he sort of defended himself. And then he seen this, signs of blood coming from him, then he, lashed at him. But in a way, I don't really blame Stefan for what he did there, because his father just wasn't going to accept either of them. So, I don't fully blame Stefan here. But, and of course, when Stefan is captured and tortured by the members that joined Pearl, and she escaped from the tomb with the rest of them, that was in episode 17, that The Right One In, another great episode. Of course, Stefan is captured and tortured, and of course, with him being tortured, he was losing all this blood, and thus he's like starving by the end of it. And it's great because we get to see Damon, Alaric, and Elena come to rescue Stefan, and it's this whole elaborate plan with Damon at the forefront, and Damon's really badass here. You know, seeing him fight a couple of vampires at once, and a couple other vampires at once, and you know, Lara coming and actually helping him, which is some really good development from where they were before. Except, you know, Lara slugs him at the end of the bar anyway. But, you know, it's still cool to see that. And, you know, there was some division between the members that were with, between the vampires that were with Pearl and Pearl herself. You know, we've seen that, you know, they're probably going to try to kill Pearl at some point anyway. But, you know, they do get Stefan out, but Stefan's, you know, completely blood-starved, and the main vampire that's sort of like holding on mutiny against Pearl, you know, comes after him, and you know, he tries to kill Elena, which he almost does, but you know, Elena actually lets Stefan feed on her blood from her wrist a little bit so he can actually gain the strength to kill the other vampire that's after him. And yeah, Stefan kills him, but in a very, very brutal and bloody fashion, which was awesome. The guy definitely deserved it. And yeah, excuse the extreme close up here. I hope it's not like too rude for you guys or anything like that. Yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, you know, it was really cool, of course, because of that, Stefan got hooked on that, you know, live blood again, as he'd only been feeding from animals. You know, he wouldn't even take like the bagged blood from the hospital or anything like that, like aiding on being human. But you know, so like, because like as Damon explains, he had been like keeping the live blood out of the system for so many years that Stefan never took the time to actually be able to control it when he does drink that kind of blood either. So he's like completely out of it when he, you know, and he automatically gets addicted to it pretty much. And so it was interesting seeing a different attitude out of Stefan. You know, he was sort of like an antagonist for a few of the episodes here. And of course, him sitting in the Salvatore basement. Of course, seeing him with some self-reflection, and you know, just he wanted to die right there. But you know, he actually went outside without the ring once Elena, you know, let him go through the door. And you know, the ring, of course, you know, is what keeps him alive when they're standing in the sun. And you know, Stefan was just going to let himself die right there because he was actually feeling a heavy amount of guilt with, you know, it's funny out what happened with him and Damon originally. He was feeling a heavy amount of guilt for that, and you know, just thankfully Elena convinces him otherwise. Or maybe not convinced of otherwise, but you know, sort of deters him from killing himself, which was good. And yeah, this Paul Wesley and Nina Dobrev have like such a great chemistry. They have the emotion. They're both very good actors, and you know, they just really make the relationship believable here. So there's that. I know I'm naming like specific episodes to talk about here, but these are just like bullet points for me. But like, really, in all honesty, like every episode of the Vampire Diaries I have seen so far, all 22 episodes of season 1 are all like very, very solid at the worst. At the worst, they're solid. At the best, they're great. And like, there's not a bad episode. There's not like an episode that feels like filler. There's not an episode like that at all. From what I've seen anyway. There's always something in a Vampire Diaries episode, at least in season 1, that moves the plot along a little bit or develops the characters in some fashion, in some relatively important way. And you know, it's just fantastic. It made it really easy to watch such a long season of a show. I'm glad that, you know, it has such a long season of 22 episodes each year. You know, it makes the DVDs like so much worth the price, because I got season 1 and 2 for very, very good deals. I got season 2, you know, for $1, you know, with that Vikings deal at FYE, which you can hear me talk about, you know, in my haul videos a few weeks ago or a while ago, whenever it was. You can look at my uploads. but such a great value with the DVDs too. And yeah, just like every episode is like notable, really. So just because I don't mention one of these specifically doesn't mean I didn't really enjoy it, because I really enjoyed all of these. And of course, with Bonnie, of course, finding out more about her being a witch and her grams and stuff like that. Her grams dying after, putting a spell on the tomb. And of course, eventually it's revealed that, Damon obviously does have some kind of feelings for Elena as well, with Isabel sort of sensing that, when Isabel comes back and gets the device from Elena in episode 21, Isabel, she sort of says, Elena kind of asks her why, how could you count on Damon? And she says, because he's in love with you. And, it makes it awkward between him and Stefan, and we see Stefan have a little bit of jealousy already because of that, but you can't really blame Stefan because he remembers how that whole thing with Catherine went, and, just puts him at automatic odds again. But we'll obviously see more of that as the series goes along. And the season 1 finale, episode 22, Founders Day, amazing season finale. Just a lot of things happen. We finally seen the Founders Day event, obviously. Something else I want to mention before I finish the video, before I forget anyway. Of course, Matt and Caroline's relationship was nice to see developed. With Matt being Elena's ex-boyfriend before Stefan showed up and different things like that. That was fairly well done for the most part. I'm not really in love with Carolyn at this point, or Caroline, whatever you want to call her. But I do like Matt quite a bit. He's a pretty likable character, sort of like Jeremy. And the trouble between him and Tyler. Tyler's like the jock bully type. Who was using Vicky at one point, and then we see how aggressive he really is, even when Jeremy's trying to be cool around him and things like that. And we sort of get a basically a teaser that Tyler is probably going to be turning into a werewolf in season 2, because his father is probably one as well. Because in the season 1 finale, they're Uncle John, and the sheriff and the rest of the townspeople sort of come up with this plan to expose the vampires by using that device Isabel had gotten, and she had given to John. And then their plan was to activate the device, which would only cause only the vampires would hear, and that would cause them pain. And then they inject him with the vervain, and of course they drag him off and burn the building down with them. So that whole thing was very, very chaotic. Even Damon was in peril there. Of course, we got another very, very big death in that episode. Right after Anna had given Jeremy her blood, to give him a choice to turn after him asking her for the past few episodes. She is unfortunately staked by John, and we see Damon down there as well. He can't move because of the vervain in his system, but yet you see him actually wanting to help Anna, but he can't, and Anna gets staked. And it's really sad. Again, Jeremy gets heartbroken again. And, I just want to see Jeremy happy at this point. Because first he had Vicky, and now, she's gone, obviously, and now Anna. And it's really sad for him. And, of course, the vervain, I always think of the whole... Of course, they had that supply of it, and they found some as the season went on. But, of course, Zach's death back when Damon was trapped under the Salvatore house during the basement. In that basement, little cellar that they had Stefan in. I'm sort of jumping around here, but I didn't really like Zach too well. But, of course, that was part of the whole chaotic Elena finding out what was going on thing back in episodes 5, 6, and 7. That was good too. Anyway, back to the season finale. Is really tragic seeing Anna die. I really didn't want to see her die there. I was hoping she was going to at least continue into season 2 and go forward after that. But no, she is killed. And I also liked her mother, Pearl, as well. You know, she was like a well-acted. She was like one of the older vampires. And, yeah, it was unfortunate seeing Logan back... Not Logan, yeah, it was funny seeing Logan, that douche who dated Jenna, get his comeuppance too earlier, but no, not Logan. You know, we seen John set Pearl up, and, you know, her getting staked, and Anna coming home to that was really upsetting. And then Anna herself is killed in the season finale, which is, again, sad to see. But, of course, Stefan manages to not be captured, you know, with Alaric sort of helping him out with that. And there's a lot of things I could talk about. I know there's things I'm missing that I probably should talk about. But, yeah, the season finale had a great intense action. And I would have been worried about Damon had I not, you know, known the show had gone on for so many years. I know Damon's still around at this point, which is an unfortunate spoiler, but it kind of comes with the show being on for a few years that you know certain characters are still around because you hear about it. But still a very good finale. And again, a huge development from Damon, you know, seeing him actually not confronting Jeremy, but sort of like coming up to him and talking to him in his room. And sort of actually saying, you know, what he did to Vicky was wrong. And, you know, he basically offered to, you know, wipe his mind again like he did earlier in the season. I forgot to mention that as well. But Jeremy was like really upset when Vicky died and finding out she was a vampire, so he had wiped his memory. And Jeremy eventually found out about that from Elena's diary. And, you know, Damon offered to do that again, but Jeremy didn't want to because he said, yeah, I'll forget, but I always have this feeling of being completely alone. And it can't fix that, basically. And it's great acting from Stephen R. McQueen, and, you know, of course, Ian Somerhalder as Damon. Great acting here, great development. And, you know, of course, Jeremy asks Damon if it's easier being a vampire because, as Anna said, he can shut out, like, all these emotions of guilt and different things like that. You know, with Damon saying life basically sucks either way, Jeremy. You know, it's, yeah. Just an awesome scene, very, very well acted. Probably one of the best of the season. And, of course, you get a good scene between Damon and Elena right after that. And it's not actually Elena, it's Catherine. We'll get to that in a second. But, of course, Damon comes out there thinking it's Elena coming home. And, you know, he admits that tonight, you know, he actually felt a need to protect the town and help people instead of, you know, trying to destroy it. And he actually wanted to help Anna. And, you know, of course, he told Jeremy about Anna as well, which is emotional. You know, but he actually wanted to help her, and he doesn't understand what's happening to him. He didn't think he had this in him. He thinks it's only reserved for his good younger brother, Stefan, and Elena and stuff like that. But now he's starting to see there's actually some good, and there is quite a bit of humanity left in Damon, actually. So it was actually really interesting seeing him like come to the realization of all that actually kind of happening to him, which makes him all the more of a static and not static, but he's definitely a dynamic character. Yeah, that's a literary term if you want to look that up. Yeah, I'm smart. I get enough to graduate. But anyway, so that was all really good, and of course, we sort of get this Damon and Elena kiss, which you thought, oh my god, she's kissing Damon, but she's with Stefan. But no, it wasn't Elena, it was Catherine, of course, who looks exactly like Elena. Elena looks exactly like her, actually, but yeah, and of course Jenna catches him, and of course Damon probably thinks the kiss was real, so it's going to be interesting to see what he says to the actual Elena in Season 2. But as far as he knows, he just made out with Elena. Okay, so there's that, which you could actually feel, we know that's going to happen eventually. I know that's like it's a triangle going forward, and it'll like develop more and more once with the actual Elena. My throat's getting kind of dry. Sorry for the voice crack. But, that was like something, that was something with the whole John trying to set all of the vampires up, and that kiss was something that could have like driven the entire finale. But no, we got more after that with Elena after the Damon thing going in, and of course John being home and him sort of admitting that, oh yeah, part of why I hate the vampires is because what they did to Isabel. Of course, Isabel being Elena's original birth mother and John actually being her father, as far as we know. And of course they had hooked up while she was like still a teenager pretty much. And he had said like part of the reason why he hates the vampires as much as he does is not because of like the John Gilbert journal and what he thought about them and things like that, which is really interesting to see all that backstory too, by the way. But because of what a vampire turned Isabel into, or what being a vampire did to her, he just seen like more and more of her fade away the longer she was a vampire after Damon turned her. And he said he never would have sent Isabel to Damon had he known that he was going to turn her. So he actually got a little bit of humanity from John there. He got a little bit of a slight bit of redemption with that, but he had killed Anna earlier, so of course we wanted him dead. And but then this is when we definitely find out it wasn't Elena. This like for the past two scenes since Damon left, and it was Catherine. And she sees the ring on John's fingers, like Alaric has as well. And she knows what it's for, obviously. And she actually grabs like a kitchen knife and chops John's fingers off, thus making him killable. And then she pins him against the wall or refrigerator or something like that. And he's like, Catherine, hello, John. And she gets her vampiric demonic eyes, and then she smiles and then like stabs him repeatedly and most likely kills him, I'm guessing. So that was really surprising. I knew we were going to see Catherine at some point in the series. I just didn't expect it to be then. And in a really awesome fashion, too. Like, really badass and shocking and satisfying at the same time, too, to see John dead. But I didn't expect to see him get killed like that. And, of course, the actual real Elena coming in and, telling Stefan she loves him on the phone and stuff, reassuring him like she has been. She loves him, not Damon. It was Catherine that kissed Damon and stuff like that, but we'll get in the trouble from that in season 2, of course. But, of course, she's about to walk into the kitchen and see the scene that just went on. I'm guessing Catherine will probably be gone, but we'll probably see John's body there or something like that, which will be pretty brutal. And, of course, Jeremy actually drinking Anna's blood that she left for him before she died, which I mentioned earlier. He actually drinks it and, takes all these pills. He's like planning to overdose and kill himself so he can come back as a vampire. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. It'll be interesting seeing Jeremy as a vampire. I wish he had found a better way. I wish things had worked out for him, but we'll see where that goes. I really feel bad for him either way, though. So yeah, great closer to a very, very impressive debut season for the Vampire Diaries. Very late reviewing it, but I'm just getting around to watching the series now. And I just figure I'd do at least general reviews of each season as I watch them. Of course, I'll do one on season 2 once I'm done with that, but that won't be for a little while yet. But yeah, very impressive debut season. Favorite characters coming out of it are definitely Stefan and Damon. I feel like I like Damon more because he's so multi-layered and complex and interesting and stuff like that. But I like Stefan because we have his, of course, him and Elena, but as well as like his deep character and his addiction struggles that he goes with, that he has to deal with. I mean, but yeah, there's just a lot I could say about both of those characters. They're both really well done, and the relationship is still what drives the show to me. It's gonna be good to see where that goes after the whole Catherine and Elena mix-up with Damon. So yeah, we'll see. And it looks like there's gonna be werewolves in season 2, so that should be interesting. I've seen the design for the werewolves in Vampire Diaries before. It's more like a regular wolf, which I don't really like, but if they're handled well, I'll probably be able to still enjoy it. Even though I prefer like the more of the Wolfman style, but we'll see. It could still be very well done. And yeah, so that should be exciting. The originals are supposed to show up in season 2 as well. I mean, it's on the back of the DVD description, guys. I read it. But yeah, so I'll do a review on season 2 once I see that. Won't be for a while though, like I said. Very impressive debut season, and it definitely kicks the crap out of the Twilight label that's slapped on it. It's so much better than anything relating to that franchise. So yeah, I love the Vampire Diaries. Can't wait to watch more of it. And there is some pretty cool behind the scenes features on the DVDs as well. So yeah, check out those if you're a fan of the show. They're pretty fun to watch. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Not sure for what. This video went very long. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. And peace.